Oh, we don't need no fancy words. I mean, we need to practice. We need to rehearse.
I'll tell you what we need. We need some paying gigs. We don't need this messing around, first one patio and then another, and that's ridiculous.
Amen.
We don't got no goddamn band. We don't need to fucking practice with
it. That moment was so John Hughes, though, because there was a massive party going on. And it was straight out of, like, you know, everybody had on, like, Izod shirt. It was, like, straight out of Pretty in Pink or something. Right. You come busting in the dining room like Jim Belushi out of fucking Animal House. I swear, I know this didn't happen, but I swear it was like I heard the record scratch across the thing, like the music stopped, and, like, every human being in there went from making tons of noise to, like, everyone shut the fuck up. And you face plant on the hardwood floor. You dive on the hardwood floor.
Man, that was
and then everyone's first reaction was, oh, this guy's tanked. But then you didn't act like, oh, I fell down. You start humping the floor and going, I'm Jim Morrissey. I'm Jim Morrissey.
I don't remember it like that. I remember it being, like, very sparsely populated. Like, there weren't many people there.
No, it was wall-to-wall people. Like, they cleared out a spot
remember
for
you and
to
Todd
fall.
being there.
But Jim Morrissey jumped up after humping the floor to the delight and horror of everyone in the room. And then you took off out the front door. You got up and ran out the front door like you were hopped up on PCP. I think that was actually what my brother said. He looked at me and goes, those motherfuckers are hopped up on PCP. I don't know what you were doing that night. But anyway, welcome to the No GD Band podcast. I'm Chris,
and I'm Henry. I just took a shot of tequila.
Probably what led to that story. But yeah, Henry, you were in a state that night.
I know.
I still think you were hopped up on the PCP.
Should have walked around with a sharp.
And by the way, folks, just to not to make myself look great in this story, I was sitting in this room that he busted into, hugging the air conditioning unit with the worst hangover I'd ever experienced in my life, just trying to get some air from the night before. So that whole evening was ruined for me just because of what I had done the night before. But anyway, I'm sure people don't want to hear much more of our glory days. I'll go ahead and tell you the first thing we wanted to talk about was the Prince story this week. I kind of found it to be weird, Henry. Like, it seemed almost like people were, like, apologizing for his drug addiction.
Let's compare notes what we know together. I know that this week his version of Nothing Compares to You came out, right?
Yeah, okay, so that was kind of a record store day kind of tie-in.
Right, so there's that. I know that Sinead O'Connor, they've got some article on her where she says that
this is complete news to me.
Okay,
I don't know about that.
Everybody says that Prince was didn't do hard drugs, but that's bullshit. I've seen him do hard drugs. He would check out, go upstairs, come back, eyes would be vacant, and it made him violent toward women. The other thing that I know,
well, that kind of corroborates the feeling I got from the article that I read.
What?
Well, the article I read just said basically the police had backed off. They weren't charging anybody.
Oh, that.
The doctor had decided to somehow they let him pay a fine.
So my understanding.
But basically it was a mistake that he took fentanyl. He thought he was taking Valium.
Is it a generic pill of some kind that they prescribed to someone that they knew would eventually be given to Prince?
Yeah, so it was prescribed for his bodyguard. The doctor pays a fine because he shouldn't have prescribed fentanyl to anybody but a person taking fentanyl. But don't consider that Prince would even imagine taking fentanyl. He thought he was taking a Valium, and that's why he overdosed. It sounds to me like he was kind of like Minnesota's favorite son, and there's a lot of official glossing over of the guy overdosed on fentanyl.
Or protection. Yeah, my guess
is
he was probably doing hard drugs in the 80s. Tried to get off of it. Joined the Jehovah's Witnesses, and so everybody had to kind of play quiet while it engaged his addiction in a more covert way. Mm-hmm. You know, with pills and all that stuff.
But either way, I don't think it diminishes. Again, I don't know if you've heard the song, but his version of Nothing Compares to You that came out this week is so superior to everyone else's version None of this.
I mean, I might agree with you.
None of this or his death for me diminishes the artist. And the thing that bothers me is I don't need a cover up to continue to think how great Prince is. But people are fallible.
All right.
And he had a drug addiction.
All right. Pause right there. One moment, sir.
Oh no.
So what you're saying is that we can separate the art from the person.
You're still
you know where I'm going, right?
I know where you're going. Louis C.K. You still want to watch Louis C.K. stuff.
I haven't, but you see what I'm saying. I want to talk to you about.
Okay, well, can I answer that real quick though? Just one little quick aside.
Yeah.
All of Louis C.K.'s art, who I love his stuff too, but most of Louis C.K.'s art, it now seems to me, looking back, is like a cry for help about doing the kind of shit that he got.
Impulsive shit.
Prince wasn't like doing every song about I'm a drug addict, please help me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. And I agree with you. I want to talk about Nothing Compares to You. Why do you think it's so good? It's not that great. It sounds like his throwaway song that he gave. I think the chorus is not as good.
You're talking about his version now.
Yeah. He wrote the bleeding song. You can't say that it's bad, right? It's a great song. But Sinead O'Connor made the iconic version of it that we all kind of know and sing in our heads.
And so here's why I think the Prince version is even better than the Sinead O'Connor version, which I love. That's kind of what our entree to Sinead O'Connor was.
Yeah.
There's really, his version is a demo, basically.
Yeah, but you can tell that.
And it's still,
like, this is what it should sound like.
And
vaguely.
so the Sinead O'Connor version is like heavily produced.
Right.
It's been worked on a lot. And there is no doubt she's a great singer. I'm not doubting that. But it's like, to me, the Prince version is almost on par with the Sinead O'Connor version. And it's literally just him hitting a Tascam 4-track.
And hit, right.
Like me and you used to do
the guy,
in a room.
Right. The guy just,
shit songs.
Right. They just come right off his back. I was trying to explain that to Jessica last night. I'm like, this is obviously just a song. He was like, this is what it sounds like. And threw it out there.
I'll give that one away.
And there's a reason why he didn't pursue it, probably because he might have heard some of the stuff I'm hearing. But lyrically, the song is great.
Yeah, it's and
melody is great.
And folks, stay tuned this summer. It's going to happen. I've talked to my brother Henry. My brother and I are going to go to Paisley Park, and we are going to do a guy weekend, and we're going to see where Prince actually lived, died, and recorded. And we'll report back because he's a hero.
Supposedly, this is run by the folks that did Graceland. A lot of this is not really what he would have wanted to happen.
And it's. I feel like it's something that if we don't get up there and see, it's going to get closed. It's going to, the sharks are circling, so we need to get up there and check it out. But we'll report back on it.
Oh, by the way, I did listen to Jay-Z. It was awkward for the first 45 minutes.
The Jay-Z, David Letterman. Netflix show.
For some reason, Dave Letterman came off as like uber white.
Did you get the feeling though that that's the crux of the real problem we have with race? Is that people like us can't talk to black guys about it?
No, I think you don't want to be disingenuous. You come at it with this level of whiteness. Why pretend to be so down when you're not? I heard him just trying to reach for things in common.
He kept being so self-deprecating that it was
and
it was embarrassing.
He was trying to sort of lay the groundwork for talking about his affairs with him in some way.
He didn't make Jay-Z admit anything. Jay-Z was just like, yeah, I understand, man.
But one of the things Jay-Z said was that one of the good things about the Trump presidency was that it showed us the truth of what America is as opposed to what we thought it was.
Right.
The rose-colored glasses are not on anymore.
That's almost a 180, or why I think the Roseanne Barrs of the world voted for Trump.
Yeah,
it's almost like let's throw up all this.
Let's just fuck the whole thing.
Let's get all the garbage out now. This shit we thought was gone is still here. Let's puke up all the butts.
It's by God, if this is what we are, let's really be this.
Let's talk the Starbucks incident.
All right.
I saw a video from a Philadelphia Starbucks where a black guy was refused the code to the bathroom because he hadn't bought anything. He videotaped it. And a white guy came out of the bathroom while he was standing there. Did they give you the code? And the guy was like, yeah, but I'm going to order something. And he goes, okay, let's go talk to the girl at the counter. He didn't order anything. And you gave him the code. Why'd you give him the code? And she instantly goes, you can't be filming me. You need to turn the camera off. I'm the manager. And he said, I don't care.
You're not the manager of my phone.
She bolts. And then a cop shows up. And a cop is like, you need to stop filming and get out of here. And
nope,
so
you're not the cop of my phone.
I didn't know if that went viral or not, but I'm sitting here thinking, so does that show that, because I was kind of feeling the CEO of Starbucks saying, we're going to take a day off and talk about all of this. And then I'm like, 2 days later, a Starbucks employee who should be very cognizant at this point of racial problem just openly gives a white dude the code to the bathroom, but won't give a black guy a code to the bathroom.
It's local control of like existing policy. Like, I guarantee you that if you were to walk into any of these Starbucks, there's probably some policy that says if somebody's sitting there and not ordering anything, you have the responsibility to make sure that you make this person a customer or ask them to leave. And if they fail to leave, call someone who can help them do that, because they're probably belligerent people who are assholes that show up and make nuisances of themselves or do other dumb shit and use the Wi-Fi for a whole work day or something crazy like that.
You know, that happens. That's not a racial thing. That happens across the board.
Right, but it's selective enforcement of this policy based on prejudice.
Yeah.
Remember in the old days when we used to go to some gas station, you go to the front thing, they give you this key with a big wooden thing on it so it didn't get gone?
Right. And
that guy has always had
I don't blame him for that code.
Had that judgment situation.
Yeah, I don't blame him for that, but let's use it across the board. Here's another tack that I heard on the radio that made me stop and think, though. Why are we blaming Starbucks? Why would these cops in Philadelphia put handcuffs on guys when Starbucks called them?
Because cops are overzealous.
But I mean, like, everyone's giving the cops a pass here. The cops are being called all the time to problems. They should be able to go, we're not arresting these guys. They haven't done anything. We're not taking your word for it. They're just sitting here. If you see the video, the guys
pulling the thing.
The guys are so compliant that it's not.
Well, yeah, that's remarkable. Well, it's not remarkable because I know how this goes now after I've seen this a number of times. But also, you see them moving the chairs to try to make way for the big cuff moment because they know it's coming.
This is you guys need to tell them to buy a cup of coffee or get out of your store moment. This is not anybody goes to jail moment. And I think that was a good point. The cops should be the people that are the adults in the room at this point. I've got one, Henry, that I keep going back to this because we had such success with our cults episode. So this actress that I've never heard of before, but she was on a show called Smallville, which I have heard of. Her name is Allison Mack. She was arrested for sex trafficking. I dug a little deeper. I pulled the rug up a little bit, and she's involved in a cult. So then I started doing some research on this cult, Henry, and I had to bring it up to you and our listeners. Just YouTube Keith Raniere. Check it out. The cult is one of these things. It's the craziest. I think it might have moved into my top 5 favorite cults.
I don't know anything about the guy.
Okay, so the guy's he started a company called Nexium.
Now they do, from my understanding, they do seminars and shit, right? Like self-help stuff, like Tony Robbins style stuff, or no?
Yeah, well, on its face.
That?
But if you start watching some of their videos, which I can't resist, I love this shit.
I haven't seen the videos.
I can't tell what the fuck they're talking about. They just use words as words. And
what do you mean words as words?
I can't explain it. There's just like the guy is a beautiful talker, but he says nothing. There's just a bunch of nothing air going on. And like you're like, what the fuck? But he sounds, and it's all new age. He looks just like a dude. But apparently he's having these women. It's a pyramid scheme, not for money, for sex with him.
What?
With him. So here's what you got to do.
How did I miss the boat on that?
So here's what you got to do.
I got to start a cult.
Not some. All of the women members have to have sex with him.
All of them.
And what you have to do is when you become a member, it's just like Amway. So to become a master, you get called a master.
Yes.
To be a master and not just a slave. This is the terminology. You start out as a slave. As a slave, you get the seminars and you get to fuck Keith Raniere.
Well, all right.
And then you can move up to master if you bring him another slave. Now, Keith Raniere is not known as Keith Raniere to the group. Well, he's known as Vanguard. So one of his top masters was Allison
Mack.
Allison Mack from Smallville. which you can find a YouTube video of her interviewing him with that gleam in his eye. It's one of those like new agey videos where he explains how the world works and she asks questions. It's almost like an
infomercial.
Yeah, where the girl's going, what are the benefits of the toaster? And the owner of the company is like, well, the toaster does. And she's like, wow, you know. But here's how I know she drank the Kool-Aid. There is a video on YouTube of him being arrested yesterday in a Mexican. He was in Mexico. Mm-hmm. As they're taking him away in the car, a girl is videotaping it, and Allison Mack and a couple other chicks try to chase the car down. And she doesn't look like the Allison Mack you're used to seeing. She looks like Allison Mack crack addict.
Really? She's not made up or anything?
No, she's like Allison Mack, like, what the fuck's going on? They're taking the leader kind of look on her face.
Oh, she does look a little crackish. Could there be a more toady-looking motherfucker?
Yeah,
this is the power of words.
Yes.
Podcast listeners.
Yes,
he does. This guy is not objectively good-looking by any stretch.
He's a toad, man. He's a complete toad. But
I mean, we're both better-looking than this fucking guy.
Watch the video, man. It's amazing. And the whole thing, this is the beauty of it. The whole thing is just about him fucking.
The whole thing, he's created a whole thing wrapped around the idea that everybody should fuck it. And it worked. It got a Smallville actress out of it.
He got like 3,000 women. He got like 3,000 women to fuck him.
And a pyramid scheme.
He's like Will Chamberlain
this one
level
fucks,
of
this
fucking.
One fucks this one. It all.
And if you want to stop.
Comes to my massive balls.
If you want to stop fucking me, you got to find me somebody else to fuck.
The new center of your universe is my balls.
I think we need to drink after this.
Oh, show me the way to the next whiskey bar. Oh, don't ask why. No, don't ask why. For we must find the next whiskey bar. Or if we don't find the next whiskey bar, I tell you we must die.
All right, Henry, we are into the whiskey segment, so let's get pouring. What do we got
What people
today?
don't know is that this is probably our first afternoon pod.
This is a Saturday afternoon pod.
We got this together because we got...
This is called the Day Drunk
We're doing
pod.
a little day drinking. A little different. Would you say this is a sort of a different role?
You know what it reminds me of?
Does it feel different?
It reminds me of playing a festival in the band where you get like one of those shitty daytime slots.
And you get drunk.
Which every band I've ever been in, like, so I've never played in the daytime before, so it seems weird.
Getting daytime, whiskey and daytime don't quite go together, do they?
Well, podcasting in daytime feels weird to me. Like, I get all revved up on when we do a nighttime, but
it's a certain kind of energy in the air that's different. Right now we're drinking James Oliver rye whiskey, not to be confused with John Oliver, produced and bottled by Indio Spirits in Portland, Oregon.
How apropos.
Interesting.
Because coming up later, folks, in our current events section, we are going to have an interview with, how do you say this?
I'm going to make sure that I ask, but it looks like Loftän.
But it's got an umlaut because one of the members is German.
No, it's not an IKEA couch.
No.
It's a band.
Loftän. I think it's
Loftän?
I'm going to go with Loftän.
Loftän?
Loftän.
They're going to make fun of the way we talk.
I'm going to say Loftän.
Hey!
But Loftän is
Loftän.
from Eugene, Oregon, correct?
Yeah, that's about an hour away, I think.
Yeah, so stick around for that, folks. But anyway, we're drinking James
Oliver rye from Portland.
Which I have to say I like. I'm down with the ryes, man. If
not
it's
much
rye,
information about what's really in the bottle.
If it's rye, I'm down with it.
100% rye mash, aged 4 years, and alligator charred, new white alligator charred. I guess that means that it looks like alligator skin when you burn it. You know, it gets all
love it.
Blocks.
Love that
alligator charred, bootleg special.
It's
very
like,
sweet.
It's kind of like Keith Raniere. You just got to put words in there, and I just respond to them. Alligator charred, sure, sounds great.
Indio Spirits Distillery. I keep thinking about that guy, Raniere. Can suck, dude. Anyway,
let's go to our main segment.
Oh, show me the way to the next whiskey bar. Oh, don't ask why. No, don't ask why. For we must find the next whiskey bar. Or if we don't find the next whiskey bar, I tell you we must die.
All right, Henry, today we're going to try another thing that was off the wall. I thought the Words podcast, if you guys haven't gone back and listened to it, I actually think it was one of our better podcasts.
The Words one?
Yeah. Where we just kind of came off the wall with a topic about words.
Yeah, weird, yeah. That was one of the best, I think.
I liked it. Well, I've got another weird topic. It could either be a train wreck or be great.
It's certainly long.
This topic I don't think is as long as Henry thinks it is.
Well, we're talking about moral dilemmas.
Moral dilemmas.
Right?
I thought that would be a good topic.
I think it is too. And it seems like in this world we've run into a lot.
Well, what I was really hoping was this would be one of those like barroom discussions where you say, would you go this far? Would you go this far? And we would both come to a different kind of place.
The first thing that came to my mind was probably the nuclear moral dilemma thing, which was like the Sophie's Choice dilemma. You know?
Right. I didn't know if you'd heard of the Sophie's. So that's an interestingly named one because I saw that as a common thing on the internet. I've never read Sophie's Choice or watched the movie. Mm-hmm. I thought the movie was about two dudes vying for a chick's hand. And so it was called Sophie Chose One of the Dudes. And I was like,
did you really think
I'm not watching that.
You thought
I thought it was the Notebook.
Oh, wait. So you thought Sophie's Choice was a fucking rom-com?
I thought it was a rom-com.
Oh, which one? Which of the two guys
I've still never seen it.
Is Sophie
gonna choose?
Meryl Streep gonna choose?
I can't.
Is it the studious but reliable guy? Or is it going to be the devil may care Hugh Grant character? Who's it going to be?
I still think you might be trying to trick me. I still think that's what the movie's about.
Sophie's Choice is not Bridget Jones. There was another weird misunderstanding that I remember just now that you and I had. What I deliberately thought, or that I thought was absolutely verifiably true, and you very nicely, which is not your normal style, because you would normally bitch slap me, would be like, you're like, it wasn't that way at all. It doesn't mean that at all. I got to remember what it is.
Oh, I hope you remember that, because if I did bitch slap you, I can imagine. I assume it was in a very polite,
in this way,
you down way.
No. Usually, I have an element of truth in there, so you would probably take this opportunity to dig a little bit just for a little fun.
See, this is folks for you out there. I have these fantasies about my funeral where people will come to my casket and be like, "He was one of the nicest, well-meaningest, friendly dudes I know." But then I get feedback from my friends and say like, "Oh, you tried to bitch slap me on that."
I never say that. That's not what I mean.
I can't wait to hear this. But yeah, so the Sophie's Choice argument, which I just learned about, is a horrific choice.
I got the words.
Did you see the movie? Is the movie really about this?
Horrible?
Are you sure it's not wrong?
No, it makes you cringe and worry. So I wrote it down because I didn't want to say it wrong.
Let's do the Sophie's Choice one.
All right. Sophie, who was a Polish Catholic, is arrested by the Nazis and sent to the Auschwitz death camp. She's there given a choice.
Did she meet Hugh Grant at this point?
Right. Hugh Grant says,
Bridget.
I'm trying to set this up as a dramatic
I know.
thing.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It sucks.
I just am so...
It is funny,
It's almost like you should use other names because I am so programmed. I'm like waiting for Jake Gyllenhaal to enter and it be a rom-com. Go ahead.
There she's given a choice. One of her children will be spared the gas chamber if she chooses which one.
This is horrible.
Otherwise, both will be gassed to death.
Oh, my Lord.
She screams in torment that she cannot make such a choice, pleading that she cannot do so. As the order is given for both children to be taken to the gas chamber, she suddenly does choose in the movie, right? Thinking that her older and stronger son has a better chance of surviving the camp, she, in agonizing pain, says that they can take her younger daughter. And
Dear
of course, she's haunted. And this is the movie, how the movie went down. 2 years later, haunted by the guilt of this choice, Sophie commits suicide. Here, did Sophie do wrong?
This is my take on it. Sophie cannot be blamed for anything. So Sophie did no wrong because Sophie was put in there is no moral choice at that point.
Here are the three accounts, the three different choices that people seem to fall down on.
Okay.
Right? Or I think it's three. There might be four. Some people would say that making a choice either way
is immoral.
Well, let me.
Okay. I believe she had to choose one because in a real life situation, like that, she's got to save a kid. She's got to save one, right?
You got to save
You got to save one. You got to save one.
And so it sounds like, to me, she made the best choice.
I don't know if she made the best choice. She can't. To me, she can't be blamed if she chose either one. But she's got to choose one. That's horrible, but she's got to choose one.
So, here are the evaluations most people fall into. Number one, Sophie did wrong because she chose between the lives of her children.
Don't believe that's true. I don't agree with that.
Number two, Sophie did wrong because she consented to the unjust death of one of her children.
No.
Sophie did wrong because she was dispositive or instrumental in the death of one of her children. Sophie did wrong because she consented to her captor's will to murder one of her children.
That's bullshit. That's crazy.
Sophie did wrong because she materially cooperated with her captor's evil will, making use of that evil will to achieve good. That's an interesting.
That's ridiculous.
Sophie acted rightly, making a reasonable choice and taking a reasonable means to save the life of one of her children. That's where I fall.
I don't like saying making a right choice, though. There is no right choice.
I say rightly.
Yeah, I know, but I don't think she can't. I don't think she should be given the credit for making any. She's forced at this point.
Well, this makes me think that we might fall into number 7 or 8 here, which is Sophie may have done wrong or may have done right, depending on what she was thinking and willing in regard to the situation. I don't care what she was thinking and willing. I'm talking about the action. Number 8, Sophie did not do right or wrong. The choice was outside the bounds of morality.
Okay, so that's
kind of
where I fall. Yeah. So even calling it Sophie's choice is bullshit to me because Sophie is a prisoner.
Wait a second.
These people,
if you curl up into a ball, you are dooming them both to death.
Yep, but you're not.
Is that good?
No, but it's not her fault.
The gravity of having to make such a choice, you would understand why somebody would collapse on the ground.
Right. She shouldn't be expected to react in that situation. Well, let me ask you this. Let's get to the crux of that problem. Before we move to the next one. I don't have a daughter, so I'm going to put you on the spot. If you are let's put you in Sophie's choice, and it's your daughter or your wife. The look on Henry's face. There's no wrong choice, and you can go fetal if you want.
I'm not so sure that I like this question. I'm going to choose my little girl because she can live longer.
And you know what else? Your wife would commend you for that because your wife would say choose her every moment, every single time. I just think, and I didn't mean to put you on the spot because I wanted to punish you, although it was great seeing your face. The reason I did that was I don't think the choice should be judged. Like, I don't like going into these fact scenarios about why she should choose the son or the daughter. Mm-hmm. At that point, it's not her fault. If she chooses one to save one, she's done yeoman's work. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. She's done a great job. Let's go to a lighter moral conundrum. I want to go with the money dilemma.
Okay.
Which is just a common, we don't really need a fact scenario. It's just that common dilemma of, you probably sat around the cafeteria in school when you were in school and did this. How much money would it take for you to do X?
Oh, yeah.
That dilemma.
Like, mostly it's about sucking a dick. Like, if you're going to, how much would it take for you to suck a cock?
Wow, that was never one that was presented to me. That was the one you discussed all the time?
No, but it's the one that
Who was asking you to do that?
Nobody asked me. I'm so drunk. All right.
So I guess let's set a scenario. I just want to see if we're at different levels. And I think blowjobs is because I think we're definitely at a different amount of money on that. That's not I don't think I would need $1 million.
$500.
Depends on how much.
$1,000.
Depends on how hungry I was. So I'm going to go the long way around to describe this one too, and I'm going to name drop. I'm going to do my celebrity name drop. But some friends of ours who went to North Carolina School of the Arts did a movie called Great World of Sound, starring Pat Healy. I got to be an extra in the film. And when I say I got to be an extra in the film, you literally see the camera pan across a hotel lobby. The left side of my face appears right when they get to my nose on the pan. Don't laugh. The scene cuts out. Now, the guy sitting beside me, if you care enough to watch that, Chad kept telling me before they shot the scene, you need to scrunch over. He had an innate sense that they were going to only go they were only going to pan across a certain amount. Mm-hmm. And I kept thinking that was impolite. I didn't want to scrunch on him. But Chad is fully photographed in the scene. Anyway, the star of that film.
He was trying to get you to scrunch to be in
so I could be in
more.
it. Yeah, he was trying to get me in it. Okay. And I was like, I don't want to be impolite. I don't know what that had to do with anything at the time. But so anyway, the star of that film, Great World of Sound, if you want to look it up, the star of that film's name is Pat Healy. Pat Healy was in another film, which the whole movie was based on this money conundrum, which I want to discuss with you, Henry, it was called Cheap Thrills.
Ah, I saw that.
Pat Healy basically is this guy who's down on his luck. He needs money real bad. And all of a sudden in a bar, he goes to a bar because he's distraught about needing money. He meets up with a couple, and they start offering him money to do little things that all of us would probably do for the amount of money they were offering, and they paid him in cash. And the night escalates, and it just gets kind of horrible, right?
Yeah.
You've seen it, right?
Yeah, I saw the end of it.
It just kind of gets to these... It kind of is neat because it gets to these moral conundrums where you're like, would you do that for $10,000? The one that got me, Henry, that I want to discuss with you, and I think this was in another movie called 4 Rooms, which Quentin Tarantino directed one of the 4 rooms. It was a movie made of 4 vignettes.
4 different directors.
Right.
Yeah.
But the basic premise of that is how much money would it take for you to cut your own pinky finger off? And I've thought about this a lot.
So you're going to ask me how much it would take?
Well, so I'm going to give you 2 different scenarios. The Cheap Thrills version of that is just this horrific. You take a knife, you cut the guy's finger off. There's no ice involved. There's no putting the finger in a bag. It's just you cut your finger off. It's horrific. You're bleeding everywhere. You got to stop the bleeding. How much would that? What's the price on that? The other one, in 4 Rooms, Tarantino set it up more dude, I know this is going to be horrible. This is a thing we have to do because you owe a debt. Your debt's going to be paid. I'm going to cut your finger off. I am quick with a knife. I'm going to drop the blade hard and quick, cut it off. We're going to scoop it into a bag. We're going to throw it on ice. We're going to get you to the hospital. It's the opposite end of that, which is I know this is going to fuck you up, but we're going to do everything we can to mitigate the pain. 2 questions. How much would it take to do either of those scenarios, and would you require more to do it the quick and dirty ouch way or the we're going to help you out, we're going to put it on ice, we're going to get it sewn back on way? Go.
So it's quick and dirty. I'll lose my...
You're on your own. You lose your pinky, you get $10,000, but we're not putting it in a bag.
10,000.
Well, or whatever. Okay, how much? 20,000? Hold on a second. Hold on a second. If I put $10,000 right now on the table, hold on. In cash, I put $10,000 on this table right now. Mm-hmm. All it requires is your pinky.
Nope. Wouldn't do it.
20.
Nope.
I put $30,000.
Not 30 either.
$30,000.
Nope. Keep rolling. What do you got?
$50,000.
That might do it. I think if you gave me
$40,000.
50.
40.
Not 40.
$42,000.
Would you do it?
$42,000.
For a pinky.
Right now. I'm talking, we're both sitting here drinking whiskey. 42 grand. Can I cut your pinky off?
No.
43.
It's 50. That's my...
$49,000. $49,000.
That'd be hard, man.
It's going to be...
Left or right?
You pick. Either one.
Left.
$49,000.
For my left pinky.
With a butcher knife. Really quick. Just lay it on the...
How fast?
Yes. Pow.
And then I have assurances about it?
You can do whatever you want. I'll give you 40. I'm going to lay the money out. I'm going to cut your finger off, and then you do whatever you got, whatever you want to do. I don't know, if you fall down screaming, that's what you're going to do. But the money's yours and the pinky's yours.
I think it would be 50. I think I'd have to
$49,000 as high as I'll go. I won't go 50.
Yeah, I don't think I'd do it.
Nowadays, that's put your kid through their freshman year of college. Yeah.
Would I give my pinky finger to make sure that B doesn't have any worries?
You're going to get okay, so here's the difference. You're going to get your pinky finger back. I'm going to put it in a bag for you.
And they may be able to put it back.
And I'm going to drive you to the emergency room. I guarantee you they'll be able to put it back. So this leads me to a great story from my childhood. I never thought I'd get to tell the general public. I went to a party, a Super Bowl party when I was a kid. Food processors had just come out. And right when we had walked in the door, my mom's best friend was putting stuff in the food processor and didn't use that thing that you used.
The puncher? The black
thing that you were told in the instructions like 100 times to...
Don't put your hand...
Right. And she was putting celery into the food processor. And I remember this. She looked at us coming in the front door and was saying hi to us and pushed the celery down with her fingers and chopped off her index finger and her middle finger.
How did she get that far into the processor with her finger? Because that thing's got a tube.
Yeah, right? So the thing was going really quick, and it was chopping up stuff really well, and she pushed it down really hard. And here's the cool part. She cut her fingers off so quick that it was one cut. It didn't mangle her fingers. They both ended up in the food processor. She passed out and fell over, and my mother, who was a nurse, went to staunch the blood on her stubs immediately. Guess what I did, Henry? And I was like 9 or 10, maybe 11.
What?
I grabbed her fingers out of the food processor.
Wow.
And
you weren't even thinking.
My dad helped me put them in a bag of ice, and I put 2 fingers in a bag of ice. It was awesome. It was amazing. They were like this weird color, like they'd lost their color because the blood had gone out of them.
Gray?
Kind of a grayish, they looked fake. But they were...
Was it a clean
cut. And they were in like the salad. And I put them in a bag. My dad took her fingers and her and her husband went to the hospital. They sewed her fingers back on that night and she saved her fingers. So let's say that happens with you. We're going to put your finger on ice. We're going to put your pinky on ice. We're going to get you to the hospital. You're going to keep your finger. $40,000.
I want $40,000, $49,500.
You want $49,500? I would not do that for $49,500. Let me ask you this.
I don't think you say no.
Let me ask you this. This will be a podcast first. I'm going to ask an even bigger question. I don't have $49,500.
Right.
Here's what I'll offer you. If we do this live on the air, just hold on. Just give me a minute. I don't know how, but I promise you, Henry, to the ends of the earth, I will do everything in my power to make sure that this podcast is listened to. And I guarantee you, if I get out there and people hear that we really cut your finger off for this podcast, we're going to jump to the top of the chart. We're going to be up there with fucking Ira Glass and shit. Right. If I can get us in the iTunes news feed that just Fox News reports.
Alert.
Podcasters cut one of the guy's fingers off to get listeners.
For ratings.
Will you agree right now to let me cut your finger off?
No.
I will put it in a bag. We'll put it in a bag.
Nope.
And you can finish the bottle of whiskey right now before we do it. And we will cut your finger off. But we'll go right to Presbyterian Hospital. We'll get your fingers.
How much do you think it would cost for them to put your finger back?
Hold on a second. This could be life-changing. We might get a career in podcasting. We're probably going to get enough ratings for that episode where we would probably get offered money to do
for
this
your pinky finger.
I'm going to take your pinky off, but you're going to set us up in podcasting history.
For life.
Legendary podcast. You're probably going to make Loftän a household name.
Right.
Before you say anything, let me show you the knife.
Yep. That doesn't do it. Nope. It's not heavy enough. It sounds heavy on the thing, but it's not.
If I can guarantee you that I will cleanly cut your finger off, you will lift us into podcasting infamy.
Right. I think you're trying to do like one of those things where the guy would push the guy off the thing. I ain't doing shit.
All right, let me ask you this.
Yep.
Follow-up question.
Wow.
What if I let you cut your own finger off?
Ooh, that would be hard. What if you...
Would that be worse?
That'd be worse.
Would you'd rather me do it? Like if you agreed to do it, to put us in the podcasting Hall of Fame, which by the way, this would put us in the podcasting Hall of Fame.
Above the knuckle. Because you don't want to cut the knuckle part. Because if you cut the knuckle part, that's a lot more... It'd have to be like a clean cut right here.
Yeah, right at the finger.
Right at the finger, right across that bit, but before the knuckle. Because if you fuck the knuckle up, then my whole hand is fucked. You know, hardcore, man.
Nope. So no, that's a no.
That's a no.
Okay, good. Because I'm a no too. I would not do that.
I trust you enough to know that you would not cut my finger off.
No, I don't think I could do it.
I don't think you could.
So,
but the fucked up thing about that movie is it sets up the proposition that the guy probably would, because it's a series of steps. Like if you did this, then you can't do this.
Well, but
you see what I mean?
Yeah,
like
but
you presented me a proposition. Like straight up on the...
Well, let me add...
But you didn't walk me through a step of exceptions.
Well, let me add...
And that's what like a salesman would say, would do that. Like a good salesman takes me from here and gets me here through a series of jumps.
And I don't even know if that's a moral conundrum. I mean,
you follow me?
Yeah, and I see what you're saying. But like, if we added something to that, like, you don't know this, Henry, but I've sent a dude over to your house... And he's going to cut Jessica's finger off.
Oh, fuck.
Without even any argument. He's going to grab her, hold her hand down, and cut her fingers off. And it's going to be dirty and messy. If you don't let me cut your pinky off, then what do you do?
That's a Sophie's Choice dilemma.
But is it? Because it's not a death situation. Like, would you literally? And I mean this in all sincerity. I think this gets to the heart of the matter. If I was really telling you, I've just sent a guy, this sounds horrible. I've sent a man to your house to rape your wife unless you let me cut your pinky off. I've got till, he's going to do it at 6:30. It's 6:17 right now. You've got 13 minutes to tell me whether or not I can cut your pinky off or your wife will be raped. Welcome to the No GD Man podcast, folks.
I'm Henry. Yeah, I would take my pinky, you know.
No, would you really take your pinky?
Yeah.
Unequivocally.
Unequivocally.
You would set your pinky up right now. You wouldn't even wait till 6:30.
If I
you
thought
would
the
say,
threat was real.
If that was real, you'd
say. If I thought the threat was real and the alternative was my wife have to live with a lifetime of pain and worry for the rest of her life.
That's horrible. And I hope you folks, that's just a terrible. Pinky. And I'm glad Henry chose that because that's, I think, the right choice. Let's do one more for this main segment. This is the classic moral dilemma. And I want everyone out there to know there's no right or wrong answer to this. The trolley problem. Have you heard of the trolley problem, Henry?
No, I have not. Spell it out.
So the trolley problem goes like this. There is a trolley coming down the tracks, and ahead there are 5 people tied to the tracks. They're unable to move. They're going to be killed by the trolley, okay? The trolley will continue coming and will kill all 5 people unless you do one thing. There's a lever in front of you. You can pull the lever. If you pull the lever, the train will be directed to another track, which has 1 person tied to it. It's going to kill that person. Okay? Do you pull the lever?
Yeah. Of course I do.
Do you do nothing and let the 5 people die,
No.
or do you pull the lever?
No. It's easy. It's so much easier than the Sophie's Choice dilemma.
Okay, let me give you
the good of the many outweigh the needs of the few.
Most people would agree with what you're saying.
Spock.
Let's try another scenario. Same scenario, 5 people on the track. You can only stop it one way, not by pulling a lever, but by pushing 1 person onto the track. You're going to have to push a man onto the track. So you're standing at the station. There's a guy in front of you. If you push him onto the track,
you've set up just a game of numbers for me.
Okay, but think about this. You're going to have to physically. You're not pulling a lever now.
Yeah,
you're going to have to.
Yeah, I can push.
You're murdering somebody.
If that is if it is 5 versus 1, and there's no other way.
Okay, here's the interesting thing about that. This dilemma, which is the classic trolley dilemma, what you answered with the lever is what most people answer. 90% of people would not push the person onto the track. If they have to personally commit murder, like intimately, most people would say they would not do that.
I think the reason why is because there's no like physical manifestation of that choice. Right. So
I'm opposite of you.
You created a lever, which means it's 5 or 1.
I would
make the choice.
Everybody would do. I think
other.
I would do the 1.
There's a degree of separation. But when you say push, I can't envison a scenario in which it's 5
so
versus
have
3
you been to New York City?
Push.
Have you been to New York City?
Yes.
Have you been on the subway?
Yes.
Have you stood at the station waiting for the?
Yes.
Okay, so the subway car is pulling up. You've got to, you know this in your mind. You've got to push the guy in front of you onto the tracks to save 5 people down the line. Would you do that?
Yes.
I would not. I don't think I have that. I don't think I could. That's murder.
No, I have the capability to shut down.
To commit murder.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, folks, that's No GD Band Podcast. And
he shuts it down. Do I have the capability to commit murder?
Do we have any other scenarios we want to go through? Because Henry is a murderer and I am not. So let's. Are we moving on to the potpourri segment?
Let's move on.
All right. Potpourri, folks. Let me set the stage for our listeners. We are with the band. I'm not going to attempt to say the name because umlauts fucked me up. So please say it for our listeners.
Loftän.
I told you it was Loftän.
I was going to go with Loftän.
Pretend you're American.
Very good. So, how did we meet, Julia?
We connected on Twitter, and we just started chatting, I believe, about whiskey.
Wait. You were drinking, like, exotic, like, alcohol.
No, I wasn't. I just asked you what you were drinking. I wasn't drinking. I was probably drinking water.
When we started this pod, we started drinking a different whiskey every week, but it's starting to drag me to the ditch a little bit. There's only so many times you can drink whiskey, and then we've started to kind of, what's the word, moderate ourselves.
Wait a minute. Did you guys just give away a trade secret? Are you guys just drinking water? Pretending to drink alcohol? So fucked up. I want our listeners to know we authentically drink whiskey when we do our podcast.
We're actually doing this.
We don't hold back like Loftän does.
We could drink like tequila. I couldn't drink whiskey. We could drink like tequila maybe, but then we'd probably I might get sidetracked in about 5 minutes.
Janelle and Julia, how long have you guys been together?
We've been playing music since the summer of 2015.
Time
So
flies.
on the street. Did you guys meet in like a yoga class or something?
Pretty much, yeah. I teach Pilates, and Julia came in and was my Pilates client, and we probably started talking about music within 2 sessions, and then we made like a musical date. Like decided to start a band within maybe one more meeting.
Did you notice like immediately that your voice harmonized well, or is it something you had to work on?
It kind of just happened. Yeah. It just seemed to work really well.
When you talked about music, I guess like some people sort of have a common background. I know I talked to Julia for a second about how she liked the Pixies and that kind of stuff.
That's Janelle. That's like her.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's fine.
That's my jam. Yeah.
How would you know?
I totally I very much I'm like a classic rock. Like I grew up listening to like Pink Floyd and Led Zeppelin and Black Sabbath on my dad's 8 tracks, and then when I got a little older, kind of went into more like grungy, like Pixies and Chili Peppers and Pearl Jam and all that.
Julia, that's stuff that I guess you probably grew up with?
Mine was like very different. I mean, the grunge music arrived in Germany at some point, but I was not very into it, and I'm not sure it was as big as it was here. So I started listening to my mom's records very quickly. So she had Diana Ross and the Supremes, and she had the Beatles and that kind of music. So I grew up with a lot of pop music, like boy bands. Take That ever popular over here?
Yeah, Take That. Have you heard of them, Chris?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Is that the one, Bobby, what's his face?
Robbie Robert,
no.
Robbie,
Yeah, Robbie,
Williams.
yeah.
Robbie Williams.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly, yeah. So that's like the Backstreet Boys, was just the British version, and so they were huge.
Backstreet's back.
All right.
Wonder Twins. Form a boy band.
Yeah, and then I went to indie rock, like from pop and kind of the classic, I don't know, Motown music and soul and funk. I like that, but then I went to indie rock and I started listening to the Cardigans and.
Because I don't like to go too long into an interview without playing something. Which track would you guys like us to play to let our listeners know what you guys sound like?
We have one song that's called Undercover Girl, and I think that would be fun to play.
Okay,
We also, if people want to venture out more, the music video I think is a bit different from the song, but they kind of meet where the undercover word comes in. So we just bothered all of our friends, and we just kind of like hung out with them and recorded the music video. But the song is it's not about that.
It's a little bit darker.
It is.
Definitely post a link to the video, but here is the song, and this is Loftän with
Undercover Girl.
She'll stop you in your tracks and know she won't look back behind her. It's all because her light was brightest in the night. She's cold. She sings the song so well. She dances for a spell. She holds. Patiently she waits for once that you will break the mold. Despite all of your lies, she isn't one surprised and sold. Don't you wanna be her? Don't you wanna be her? Wish that you could keep her. Secrets tight, buying what you're selling. If you catch her in the night. She doesn't know she's done until she spins the hands of time. She'll put it all on black and hedge her bets on savored wine. The higher cost the taste, she traded in for peace of mind. She weaves the web so well you'd never guess that she'd imbibe. Don't you wanna be her? Wish that you could keep her. She sings along to Dylan's song. She holds her secrets tight, buying what you're selling. If you catch her in the night. Don't you wanna be her? Wish that you could keep her.
I saw a clip of you guys, I suppose, working on your I guess it would be an EP, right?
Yeah, it's an EP.
It's and it's called From Here, right?
Yeah.
And did you guys record this like at your place?
Yeah, we did a lot of it. We did a lot of that DIY style, like just got some moving blankets to try to muffle the sound of cars going by.
But there were drums and there was a bass, right? Somebody must have helped you out with that.
So we took it to the studio to finish it. So we did what we could, and then we went to the studio to kind of like put in the extra pieces that we weren't able to.
Was that just a stylistic choice, or was that we have to do it this way kind of choice?
We wanted to do it that way. We basically made the arrangements and we played all the instruments, and we even made for one of the songs, we even made beats, like we made the percussion sounds, and then the only thing we couldn't do was drums. Yeah. That was basically the one thing that was missing, and so we went to the studio and we worked with somebody who helped us put together drum tracks for 3 of the songs, and then one of the songs he added some stuff and just basically mixed it.
Do you guys feel like the scene there, I know nationally that whole area still has a mystique, the whole Seattle, Portland. It must be like a hard scene for band. Maybe that's our impression. It's a hard place to get noticed because it's such a hotbed. Do you guys see it that way, or is it pretty easy to navigate?
I feel like that it's, in some ways that's true, but where we specifically are located is like this interesting kind of bubble of 1969 or something, and time froze, and so there's this big kind of like jam bandy, like hippie culture aspect to the town, even though it's a college town. So it's pretty interesting, actually, musically, what goes on here.
Do you think that whole thing is like the younger people reacting to that time period, or do you just think that's like a holdover?
I think it's a holdover. I think the young people are a little bit seeking other things. But there's not a lot of, it's like once people come here and then it's like college and you're like, pounding all the alcohol and doing all the exciting things. And then a lot of people leave, that are young. And so there's still like this, like, Renaissance fair, like Grateful Dead aspect to the town that is just kind of held on to. I mean, Eugene is where we are is pretty. It's cute. It's cute. It's a cute little space.
I think the good thing is that there is lots of music, and so there are venues, and so you can find places to play. It's not like a town where there's one venue or none, or it's really hard to get in. Like if you want to start a band here, there are many bands. So in a way, there's lots of competition, but in a way, there are lots of possibilities too. So that's kind of cool that you don't.
Yeah, we've never really had any trouble getting a gig.
No.
I think sometimes the perception here is that the enthusiasm for live music has waned to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I think at our age, there's a certain group that have stuck to it, but like you're playing no matter which club you play in Charlotte, you're still playing to the same audience.
Right.
Because the music people have stuck around, and everyone else is kind of peeled off. For us, I think, at least here. But I think it's neat that I think the thing that I'm interested in with what you guys have out there is we live in a city, in a state that's very conservative. So like the pockets of where music and art and culture are more celebrated because they're much more liberal pockets. And I guess the question I have for you is, what is it like living in a place that's probably much more broadly liberal or you know what I mean? Like,
totally.
What's it like being in an actual place? I guess what I'm asking you is, like, does that make it harder because there's nothing to react against? Like, we have something definitely to react against. Yeah. There's a lot of very conservative Christian element here. here. Yeah.
I think there's still plenty of things that you can react against. Also, if you drive, I don't know, an hour outside of Eugene,
you're in the sticks too. There's some
right.
I mean, you could go to rodeos and
for sure,
and have people look at you strangely if you don't wear a cowboy hat.
Well, let me ask: were you guys both not dead set, but I mean, were you guys both going to do music before you met each other, and were you going to do it individually, or were you looking to do a duo or a band, or how did that come about for both of you?
For me, I've always wanted to do music. I mean, when I graduated from college, I moved to go away and do music because I felt like this place was way too small. And so I moved to like Chicago, and then I moved to LA, and then like back to Chicago, and then eventually I came back here. But while I was doing that, I was doing music and pursuing it more so on my own. Like I never was against having a band at all. It's just kind of what happened. And then when I moved back here, I wasn't playing anything. I like went through like this like spell of like creativity hole. And then I started to play again for like, it was about 6 months, and I was like starting to write and to play again. And I was just doing it to do it because that's always what I've wanted to do, like my whole life. And then that's when I met Yulia.
I was ready to just do stuff on my own because I had bands back in Germany when I was living there, and it was always hobby bands, and I always wanted more, and I could never find the right people to do it with. But then I moved here, and I was determined. I'm like, I'm not gonna do anything ever again with like another person because all they do is like
drag me down. I'm driving this car.
Yeah, so I was like, why do I attach myself to other people who don't want the same thing? That's dumb. So I had started recording demos and like was getting like made a website and started playing gigs here and there, and that's when we met.
The Delilah sessions the first thing that you put out, or was the other stuff?
No, it was the other stuff, actually. The Delilah sessions kind of came about last... Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah. Time flies when you're having fun.
The bus, it reminded, weirdly, it reminded me of, like, the Trinity sessions with the Cowboy Junkies. You guys.
Oh, yeah.
With traffic going by.
Yeah.
I could hear a guy... taking pictures of
yeah, totally.
There's like the shutter noises on there too.
Right?
We do know that.
Yeah. We decided to relinquish control of that.
And then we were considering editing them out.
Us in a contest.
Yes, that was actually it's my brother-in-law. It's my sister's husband, and Woodmere Beer. And Carhartt and Tom's Potato Chips held a raffle for this camper trailer that looks like a redone VW, and I swear he's the luckiest person I know. He wins everything, and he won it.
So on that bus, I think Janelle, you're playing some kind of keyboard thing. I don't know what it is. It's very short.
Groove
is it a sampler
box
or something?
Yeah, it's like a little groove box. You can like make noises and beats and all sorts of fun little things on it. Program it.
And Julia, you were playing. It looks like a blonde Epiphone. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah.
I want to tell you that Henry Gordon is very team Epiphone. Yeah, I want to, Julia. I read the email that you talked about selling.
Yes.
And the whole time I was reading it, I was like, "In your face, Henry!" With the yeah.
Oh no!
Fuck you and your Epiphone, man. What are you playing now?
And it's even worse. I play a Squier now. I found like a used one, a thin line Telecaster Squier. And
Tellys and Squier. I have a Squier.
Yeah, I love it. It's great. It was cheaper. I trade it down.
But so you got rid of the Epiphone. Did you know which guitar you were getting when you got rid of it? That was my...
Yes, I totally did. I was looking for a new guitar, and then I found the one, the Squier, the Telecaster, and I liked it a lot, but I was kind of waiting to see if that could be the one and only. And I was thinking about holding on to the Epiphone because I like many things about it, but then I was like, I need money more than I need two guitars. And I do have like acoustic guitars, so like things just damage. Yeah.
Did the neck feel more right on the Squier?
Yeah, it did. It's
I like the thinner neck on it too. I wish Chuck could take the neck of that Squier and put it on the head.
Yeah, see, and then lose some pounds. Like, I mean, not me, but like the guitar. You know, that would be great, and not so big. Like maybe just smaller.
Go ahead. Yeah, you have a tattoo on your. Is it a star tattoo?
I do have a star. The star was my first tattoo, actually.
I have a star tattoo on my shoulder. So
you do?
On here, and she's playing my blonde guitar.
Your star tattoo is weak, though. And really weak. And I have a Squier tattoo.
Oh my god. We're just two people. There's four of us, but there's only two people.
All of you can separate you guys like a Y chromosome.
It's about 3,000 miles.
And that,
And the whiskey divide.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I'm really let down that you guys were drinking water. I was totally sold that you were drinking tequila, and now maybe we're going to have to start substituting water, Henry, for at least half.
Yeah, so that I can actually survive. Lose a fucking limb. What's next for Loftän? What are you guys going to do next?
Well, we're going to play a festival here in town in the summers, and up next that people can actually enjoy even if you're not in Eugene, we're going to go up to Portland, and we'll play a show that's also going to be playing on the radio. If you look for the Local Roots Show, and it's May 9th.
May 9th, yeah, Wednesday, May 9th.
Well, thank you guys for talking to us. We would like to play another song before we go. Can I make a choice?
Yeah, you make the choice.
Oh, of course.
I want the it's called Mystery. I wouldn't trust his choices.
We actually were channeling that choice. We were suggesting it telepathically. Mm-hmm. Mystery Blue.
Yeah, Mystery Blue.
Yeah.
All right, that's the one. Let's play Mystery Blue. Thank you guys. Thanks, Loftän, so much for being on our podcast.
Oh, thank you for having us.
Nice talking to you both. Thanks for jumping out with us and doing this.
Oh yeah,
our pleasure. Honestly,
this was super fun.
My thoughts on hold, but the heartbeat's still there. Will you take me home, where I can lie down and wait for my thoughts to arrive? And I see pink, and I see dark gray, and I see rose-colored clouds floating, a mystery blue. see rose-colored clouds floating, and I see pink, and I see dark gray, and I see rose-colored clouds floating.
Fancy words. I mean, we need to practice. We need to rehearse.
I'll tell you what we need. We need some paying gigs. We don't need this messing around, first one patio and then another, and that's ridiculous.